Well, hello there. My name is Dave Vila. I want to welcome you to this new edition of News and Views, broadcast by Access LaPorte County on Public Access TV Channel 99. We are a weekly public opinion program addressing local, state, and national topics and issues of interest to the Michigan City and surrounding areas. Opinions are the views and the responsibilities of those making the comments and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views of this program or its co-producers. We will adhere to broadcast rules, but absolutely no one's First Amendment rights or freedom of speech or freedom of the press will be either muzzled nor denied. Any unauthorized use of the accounts, descriptions, and events of this program without the express written consent of Larry Curley or Schmo is strictly prohibited. We hope you enjoy the program, the discussion, and the participants. Ladies and gentlemen, for about the last month and a half, I signed up for a service on behalf of Governor Braun, okay? And it's like a weekly newsletter and updates his progress. And so I'm going through the newsletter, and this particular one, Braun fights for ratepayers. STEM talent provided, expanded in Indiana. Keep business anchored in Indiana. Restore merit to the state contracts, building a strong Hoosier talent pipeline. And it goes on, and training for the next generation, expanding rural healthcare access and creating high wages. And then it goes on and on and on. And it talks about his latest venture was a $22 million investment in Comlux America, that will create up to 375 new high-wage jobs in Indianapolis. And there's money for Toyota. He's investing in funds down in Indianapolis. And so here's another one, $10.2 million for individuals to re-enter the workforce. Well, that's all well and good for southern Indiana. You look at the growth of southern Indiana, and then you come up to Highway 30, and it's just like falling off a cliff. The economic development north of Highway 30, I don't believe the governor even realizes that the northern part of Indiana exists. Now, this is my demand, Governor. Okay, you're talking about all this development in the state of Indiana to the southern part of Indiana, and you're talking about growth down there and highways down there and improvements and investing state money that was generated up here to be invested in southern Indiana. Governor, why don't you come up here and take some of that economic development and bring it up here so that we can also prosper as you tout in your newsletters. Gentlemen?
He's bringing the Bears.
Now I'm going to answer that.
The Bears, $2 billion.
Have you ever seen Fort Wayne? Have you ever seen Warsaw? Have you ever seen those areas? Elkhart? The northern Indiana is doing very well. It's eastern northern Indiana. Yeah. Fort Wayne has become the second largest city in the state of Indiana, surpassing Gary, surpassing Hammond, surpassing Evansville, because of the kinds of industry that they have attracted. Warsaw has two of the leading manufacturers in the biomedical field doing all kinds of research. Notre Dame has a fantastic research situation. St. Mary's College has a fantastic research situation in South Bend, Indiana. Elkhart is doing very, very well. Their unemployment rate is down below zero. What are you talking about?
Northwest Indiana.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to yell a little bit louder. Okay? Northwest Indiana.
Now you're right.
The
you
mills,
said northern Indiana.
I made reference to Highway 30. Highway 30 and the amount of money that comes out of the steel mills that goes down to Indianapolis, and we get, what, 80 cents on a dollar back for every dollar we send down there? That's a travesty, Bob.
The Bears? Maybe. No, not.
The point I want to make is if the governor was elected to represent the entire state of Indiana, that's what these news releases are talking about.
He's trying to do that.
Then let him come up here and invest some of the money here. Where's the last time you've seen an influx of $10 million into a factory here in Northwest Indiana? You haven't.
It's called a data center.
He's not doing that.
He's not doing that. The city council appropriated tax.
Time out.
The tax. No.
You
The
assume
city
that we-
council appropriated tax abatement for the data centers to become.
There you go again,
No,
talking
there
about
you're
Mr.
blowing.
I'm
I have
talking-
to yell a little bit louder so you can't hear out of your ear.
I'm talking about the data center in Hammond. Up and running, paying lots of dollars into Northwest Indiana, specifically Lake County and Hammond and the Hammond school system.
Now wait, the governor missed a big one that no one wants to talk about. Lilly, right?
Right?
Big company, announced a huge investment into a new manufacturing facility
Where?
in Ohio. In Ohio.
Okay.
They left. Where's the governor?
Well,
What happened?
Eli Lilly has a number of plants in Indiana. Maybe they decided they needed to spread them out a little bit.
Economic-
But when you
yeah,
say
but-
northern Indiana is not prospering, you are talking about Lake County.
The
not
intent,
the entire northern
the
Indiana.
intent of this newsletter is to convey the Governor Braun's efforts throughout the entire state. It is talking about the entire state. But yet, when you read the contents of these newsletters, it sort of omits a portion.
We got to ask
Porter
Bob.
County has the highest average 8 straight time hourly payment in northern Indiana, surpassing what you're talking about, Lake County with the steel mills.
We've got
You're not doing your research.
the research is right here. You read what you read the propaganda that the governor puts out, and it omits everything north of Highway 30. It
Fort Wayne
omits.
is north of Highway 30. It became the second largest city in the
And
state.
they're getting
of
a
Indiana.
casino.
What?
I want to ask, what do you think about the governor? He's not disobeying the law, but he's working around the law by declaring a new emergency for gas price.
Oh,
gas
yeah.
tax.
If
So
somebody's
his 120 days are up, but somehow he says there's a loophole and he can declare another emergency. And I don't just mean this for a Republican governor. I mean this for any commissioner, mayor, governor. They're just working around loopholes to make their emergency declarations go on forever.
If
We got
somebody
to
disagrees,
stop.
take it to court.
We've got to stop.
Okay,
Okay,
again.
let's start talking about Michigan.
No, I'm not done. I'm not yet. I'm not done. No.
There it is.
There it
Gas
is,
tax
right here.
cost. Again.
Again, he extended that 30-day grace period.
No, he had 120
Thank you.
days. And then
Thank
he
you.
made a new emergency order.
Because Indiana has taken in so much money as a result of people coming to Indiana, buying the gas here, buying diesel, which we appreciate, you paying full price for. They got a lot of truckers with the 18 and 24 wheelers loading up when they get to Indiana. We also got cars coming from Illinois loading up on gas in Indiana, spending their money.
I agree 100%. But if we're making money, let's just get rid of the gas tax forever. Stop with this emergency nonsense. Just get rid of it.
I want to talk about the school board if you guys are going to give us.
I'm not done yet. No. I made an attempt to contact Bob to obtain some information, to obtain a definition of excess. And after yelling a little bit louder to him over the phone, maybe we just had a bad connection, Bob. I don't know.
No, I got a disability from the federal government for my darn ear.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
not just a little misconnection.
well, this pertains to excess unallocated property tax revenue derived from the TIF district. A couple weeks ago, Tony brought in the Redevelopment Commission's presentation, Gateway report, that they're still 2 years behind. They'll never catch up because they don't want to listen to the truth. But the fact of the matter is, their total disbursement of, in reading this report, their total disbursement of funds derived from new construction within the TIF district throughout the city of Michigan City amounts to $14,150,000. Now, they have enough money in the bank to pay this total amount off, which then basically means
It appears they have enough
it appears,
money.
yeah, well, yeah, again, I have been saying that they have been deficit spending funds for a long time, and I'm getting closer to proving that they've basically overextended themselves. They have no concept of the value of the dollar. Carte blanche, they appropriate, they give away money, $2 million to an entity in Crown Point and so on. I could recite the whole litany. And look at all of the millions of dollars they just spent on SOLA that went into beach sand floating off into Canada. I'm just saying the Redevelopment Commission, based on their 2024 report, and I have facts to back this up, the bank balance was sufficient enough to cover the bonds that they issued. Well, that basically answers my question of why Schuyler York and the mindset of the Redevelopment Commission will not appropriate funds for the Michigan City area schools for metal detectors, because they don't have it. They don't have the necessary funds. They have spent, in my mind, at least over and above the amount of money that they take in. So, and I'm leading up to what Bob is talking about. So basically, they made a request to the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission, and I convinced the Kevin McGuire, and I convinced the superintendent of the schools to make their presentation to the Redevelopment Commission for metal detectors, and they were turned down. And I couldn't figure out why, if they've got all this money in the bank, why would they be turned down? Well, I think I know now. Because they are financed to the hilt. They don't have a pot to urinate in or a window to throw it out. And they want to continue to kick the can down the road. And the results of the Michigan City Redevelopment Commission balking at that initial request of the school city funnels in to 15% of what this new referendum is to pay for. Bob?
Well, I'm just going to do one little follow-up. He's hit the Redevelopment Commission all the time. This is for something that is not on the ordinary tax rolls, so it's not in the budgeting process.
You are wrong.
Well, I'm not wrong. It's not.
15% of the bond issue is dedicated towards metal detectors and security within the school system.
You didn't listen to me. Again, this particular situation is not part of the ordinary budgeting process in the school system, running down the chart of accounts and going through their budgetary accounts every year on a year-by-year basis.
When the school city, I'm sorry, when the school city was turned down, that $1.2 million from the Redevelopment Commission, the Michigan City area schools needed a way to pick up that loss.
Well, you can get part of it by going to the township advisory boards.
Right.
I'm telling you what you want to do. You want to take all of it from the Michigan City Civil City. That's not right. This is a Michigan City area school corporation. The township advisory boards need to chip in their fair share.
State law mandates 10% of the balance of the TIF district revenue to be applied to the school city if they request it. They made a formal request, and the Redevelopment Commission turned them down. They turned them down and kicked the can down the road additional 3 years.
Let's talk about the school board situation. For those of you that may not be aware of it, we've got a situation where in the Michigan City school system, we have right now approximately 5,000 students, depending on whose numbers you want to go by. Probably one of the most underrated bad decisions that was ever made in Michigan City. It involved both the City Council and the Michigan City School Board. They listened to a consulting firm that was run by the brother of an individual who was our congressional officer in Washington, D.C., and had a very large consulting situation. This was where the idea of Michigan City being 80,000 by 2,000 came from. And for the first several years, when we had all of these babies that were born right after World War II flooding into the system, we had a large number of students that went into our school system. Unfortunately, that deteriorated significantly after the year about 1975 or 76. The school system numbers went down, not because of Michigan City, but because of what happened throughout the United States. People were just having fewer and fewer children. That has continued to this day. In fact, the U.S., not just Michigan City, the U.S. is not having enough births to keep our population up to the numbers that we're currently at or above that. The only reason we're able to do that is through immigration. I'll give you a number of examples, but one of them I tend to use is there's a poll done a couple of times among women who are 29 years old, have not been married, and their situation in terms of children. The large segment of those polled said, we never intend to have children. So you've got a large segment of the population in females, 29 or over, that just do not want to have children. Now, I can use a little, my family anecdotally on this one. My mother was 39 when she had me. My grandma had her last child, my youngest aunt, at the age of 42. That family had 10 siblings, one of which passed away. So there was 9 siblings. My father was one of them. He wound up having to go to work at 14 in order to help support the family. You don't see that anymore. On my mother's side of the family, she had 6 siblings. There were 7 kids all total. You don't see that much anymore. 1 or 2 is normally the standard if they have any children. We have a lot of people that have moved into Michigan City, many of which do not have children. Now, it could be their children are already raised, a lot of them are, or it could be that they just don't plan to have children. What the school board is going to have to recognize and what they're going to have to figure out for their long-term planning is what will be the population in terms of children in the Michigan City school system. In the 1960s, when they hired that planner, and he told them that we were going to be 80,000 and they were going to have all these kids in the school system. The school system planned for it, the city planned for it. One of the things that Tony brought up several months ago was the situation in the Marquette Mall parking lot, which he said, and truthfully so, was way over planned. The problem was it was built in 1968 when we're listening to this planner who's got us at 80,000 by 2000. And a lot of people made those same mistakes. You're going to have to get this right, because if we continue to lose population, where are we going to get the students from?
Okay, let me bring,
I'm out.
I want to bring something up on that 1960, okay? This is from the population in 1960 was 36,653 residents. And their growth was heavily aided by the city's annexation of neighboring town of Lakeland in 1960.
It was.
So if it wasn't for the Lakeland residents, we wouldn't be a city of the second class.
Oh, we are not a city of the second class right now, only by law.
Only by law.
Population.
That is correct.
Okay. So the next thing that we're going to have to look at is what numbers are we going to have, and if we're not going to have them, how do we go about attracting the students into the system that we would like to have? The state of Indiana says you can basically take your student anywhere, and they will give you a certain amount of money to provide for that. I think the number might be $6,600 that goes with the student wherever they move. Now, there are a number of school districts that are really planning on how do we handle this. Some of them are looking at athletics. If you are very good at a sport, there are a lot of parents out there and students that are looking at, we want to go to where the top school is in this particular sport. Could be football, could be basketball, could be soccer, it could be swimming, any of these. Could be tennis. They want to go where they think there has a good possibility of them getting a scholarship to some school. It might be a big, small, or big or small school, just might be a small school, but they could get a scholarship because of their ability in a given sport if that particular school system has a real strong advantage in that sport. Now, if you read the sport pages, they don't say this outright, but one of those that school that is very close to us is looking at building baseball. Now, I was shocked when I found out it wasn't LaPorte. It's the one that combines Rolling Prairie and the city just across the line in St. Joe County, and I'm trying to think of the name of it. But anyway,
New Prairie?
New Prairie. Yeah, they are attempting to build a really good baseball program. And they have a possibility of attracting a lot of students, not only boys, but also girls in girls softball. There's been a couple of interviews with girls who have gotten scholarships to small schools that play softball. These are things that will attract students. Now, the other way you do it is academically. You want to be a strong school in terms of academics. To do that, you're going to have to set goals. And one of those goals, if you really want to do this, is 75% of your graduating seniors should be able to do reading and math at the 12th grade level when they graduate. They have got to significantly increase the statistics, not only at the graduation level, but also at the students coming through the system, because it's the students coming through the system that will force the instructors to teach at a higher level of math, to teach more reading. Maybe we go into all kinds of literature, just like they do in college, in some of these English classes.
Bob, excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you're filibustering the topic. The topic at hand is this $80 million bond issue on behalf of the city of Michigan City. Who the hell cares about what's going on in other areas, or who the hell cares whether they're receptive
Who cares about the school system?
The fact of the matter is,
If you keep
now,
that
you listen to me. You listen to me. There are active in the state of Indiana 1,625 active TIF districts. They have an assessed value of $96.26 billion. 2% of that $96.2% billion that the school cities throughout the state of Indiana is entitled to. There is a source of revenue that the school cities can go to and make a request from the established TIF districts to get their money, rather than initiating a bond issue that we have to pay interest on. That if we $80 million bond issue, after you exclude all of the accessory fees that are charged, we might get maybe what, maybe $70,000 or $70 million out of it.
Wait, here, if you boil this down, right? Boil this down to nothing. $10 million a year. If we didn't have the redevelopment district, I understand the school really wants $5.5, $6 million a year. If we didn't have the redevelopment district, they would have their money, because they would get their portion of the what? $10 million a year that the redevelopment gets between the police, the fire, and the school. They would get, and many politicians have said this, many candidates have said this, if the redevelopment district would be gone, the money that comes from all those people they're capturing funds from would go to its appropriate source. Michigan City wouldn't need another bond issue.
And the concept, the approach that you're taking, Bob, is you approve this bond issue rather than looking where there's available money out there that is available to the school city if they want to take advantage of
you're
it.
going to take it from the civil city. When are you going to start
No,
taking it?
sir. It's on new construction within the TIF district. 10% of that revenue on new construction within the TIF district is allocated by state law to the schools.
All that money. Yes, this is a.
$96.26 billion. That's a hell of a lot of money.
So
You refuse to see that this is a school corporation.
You want to put the
outside
state. You want to put. You want to put the.
I want the money from Michigan City and from the townships. You're just saying Michigan City
you
has
want
to
to
support
put
the townships.
the individuals who are living at or are below the poverty level. You want to take more money out of their pockets. I don't want to do that.
You're not taking the money out of their
You are too, by initiating a property owner who lives at or are below or who is on fixed income, and he's a property owner or she's a property owner. You want to take more money away. You want a water increase, sanitary increase, road tax, NIPSCO increase, and so on. I'm just saying.
I want a better water department.
There comes a time that somebody has to take new attitude and look where the existing money is. How much is in that rainy day fund?
Run for the city council. Run for the school board. Now, if you're so sure that the school board is wrong, put your name on the ballot.
None of the members.
Put your name on the ballot.
None of the members of the school board is even receptive to this idea because they don't even know.
Put your name on the ballot.
They don't even know it exists.
Put your name on the ballot. You can tell them it exists.
The bond issue.
You aren't going to do it.
The bond issue.
That's the issue at hand. The bond issue
is subsidizing the redevelopment district.
That is correct.
And taking money from Michigan City residents.
That is correct.
Because we would not need a bond issue if the redevelopment wasn't taking 10 million a year
That is correct.
from the funds.
That is correct.
That's what's happening. We're adding on another cost because the redevelopment is taking 10 million a year that should go to the police, the fire, and the school.
That is correct.
And,
For another-
and they're supposed to
if
be
you wanted-
increasing
I
our
have-
revenue
I have
to
no-
match that, but they are not because we're asked to pay a bond issue. And the bond issue goes area-wide into the county.
Well,
Every township who people lives in Michigan City Area District is paying the bond issue. Don't just think it's
Doug
just
in the
Michigan
school
City.
system, when he does that, he's taking money from the civil city, not from the townships.
So the bond
The bond
issue,
issue-
Read the law,
the
Bob.
people outside Michigan Civil City are subsidizing the Michigan City
Put your
redevelopment
name,
district.
put
that is
your
correct.
name on the ballot, let's see what
That's
happens.
what's happening.
You're running for the school board. Okay, now,
And now they're going to spend what? 182 million on buildings, which we said before, truthfully, 2 pots of money, one for operating, one for buildings.
okay. When we're talking about buildings and renovation, the ones we're talking about is, first of all, to start with Edgewood School, which is a neighborhood school. They want to build a new Edgewood School. Krieger Elementary.
And they
is
probably
gonna
need
become
one.
what?
Edgewood's pretty old.
Well,
Edgewood is,
Krieger Intermediate Middle School, it looks like they're going to move it to grades 5 through 8. So we will then have a true middle school there. It's going to take some renovations to do that. So they're going to spend money there. They're going to do renovations at Lake Hills, Pine Township, and Marsh Elementary. And those schools, depending on how this administration turns out, will either be serving what I call pre-K through 4 or pre-K through 6. Now, schools with an undetermined status. Barker Middle School, Knapp Elementary, Joy Elementary, Cool Spring Township Elementary, and Springfield Township Elementary. I think what they're looking at is what will be the populations in these areas and what will they need in terms of the school system. Now, the ones that I haven't heard anything at all about are the high school and the A.K. Smith Center, both of which are very important. But I think we've got to start looking at more investment into the trades, i.e. plumbing, electrical, carpentry, and this type of thing. Now, whether that money comes from the Redevelopment Commission or whether that money comes through taxes, we're going to have to determine that. But one of the things we're going to have to do academically is start looking at outcomes rather than outputs. What have we taught our students in the school system, and how many of them are actually coming out at least graduation? 75% of them can do reading and can do math at the 12th grade level. Okay, now you can fill them.
Okay, now, here, all right, in response here. This pertains to the Governor Braun's, his statement. A STEM talent provider expands in Indiana. Governor Braun announces another economic development win this week as STEM DTS's and Indiana founder talent provider expands its headquarters in central Indiana. This STEM concept, according to the governor, and according to what I just read right now, my interpretation is, where is central Indiana located? Are we located in central Indiana?
no.
It's north of Indianapolis.
So this
I hate to tell you this, but it's north of Indianapolis.
okay. So this expansion creates more high wage jobs while strengthening Indiana's pipeline to STEM talent and helping employers fill a initial demand for positions. I'm just saying that the governor is basically telling us north of Highway 30 to fend for ourselves.
Northwest Indiana.
We're doing a pretty darn good job of it. Fort
Northwest.
Wayne is the second largest city in the state of Indiana. They have far surpassed Gary. You're missing the point.
Millions of... The point is that they want to bleed more money out of the residents of the city, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Ward, and residents of city, Michigan City, who live on fixed incomes to pay for this eight-year bond issue to develop Taj Mahals, when in effect, if the governor had his toot together, he would recognize the
That's the
fact that there are like
governor's fault. Oh my God.
there are like 38 to 40 school districts within the state of Indiana who are applying for these various bond issues.
Dave, if you're not going to
Because-
run for the school board, get a petition up about putting in separation of storm sewers and sanitary sewers in the second, third, and fourth wards. You
That-
need
that-
to get the city council people on your side.
That isn't,
Their reps.
that isn't relevant.
You need to get a petition.
The fact of the matter is the entire state of Indiana should be under one umbrella. And with what I've been reading from this information, we are stepchildren. Northwest Indiana is a stepchild, and just Michigan City Area Schools bond issue is only one of the 38 bond issues that are being requested this year, because the governor decides to take all of the money and develop 20-some million dollars to a Toyota expansion and millions of here and millions of there, but all of that money is going down south. And none of that money is coming up here for development, and the schools need to be improved upon, but not, you can't bleed a population that 46% has already been bled out. You can't do that. That's physically impossible.
But they are.
Well, if that's the case, I would certainly like to have the average straight time hourly wage that they're paying in Porter County. Not LaPorte County, Porter County. Now, we both know that Porter County is in northwest Indiana. Why does Porter County, why does Lake County go the other way? Why does St. Joe County have such a much higher average straight time hourly wage than LaPorte County?
One reason.
Now, that has to be our fault,
You know,
not theirs.
no, you know the one reason why they're higher. One reason. It's called the steel mills.
The what?
The steel mills. The only reason Lake and Porter are a higher rate than Michigan City is they have the steel mills. South Bend has Notre Dame. Fort Wayne, and those counties have biomed stuff.
Stryker.
Michigan City
Well,
has,
3 or
what's
4
Michigan
more.
City have? The casino. And the casino should be what's paying for our schools, police, and fire.
Because-
and they are not. They are going to the redevelopment. They are getting chopped off and sent to the redevelopment district for whatever they feel is important, which was a good concept that if it worked, they would grow the tax base and they would get money because they grow. But it hasn't happened. So we need to reconsider what we're doing and stop subsidizing the redevelopment district with an $80 million bond for the school district and hurting the poorest. The poorest of poor people are going to get hurt the worst because this tax goes on a property tax, and that goes right to their rent. And the property owner is not going to pay this and not raise their rents. Their rents are going up, and they're already outrageous. So the long and the short of it is, this is a bond to subsidize the redevelopment district, who we wouldn't need a bond, but they are taking our money and deciding we need growth, but I don't see how that's happening. But we're going to have a bond, and this is what's going to happen, and I don't know if they'll vote for it. I did go watch the meeting on ALCO. Thanks, ALCO. You can watch the July 21st meeting on the council. And the administrator for the school left the room. And after he left, the individuals got up and they talked about some very important things, which Bob and we like. They said you wouldn't have to ask for this bond if your school district was actually teaching the kids math and language. We would have students that were ready for the workforce, whether they stay here or not, are ready and ready. And you say we need a 75% rate at 12th grade?
Yeah.
It's too late at 12th grade. We need a 75% at every grade. And if they don't get 75%, you hold them back.
They'll
I'm
never
sorry.
get 75% at 12th grade. They can't do it in the
Right.
third
If you
grade.
can't do it in 3rd grade, you can't expect it to happen in 12th grade. It's never going to happen. We need 75% at 1st grade, at 2nd grade, at 3rd grade, every grade. And if they don't have it,
Right.
we hold them back. Or summer
There's
school.
where you gotta
Or
spend-
night school.
And there's where you
Something.
got to spend your money.
Yes, that's where you spend your money. But you can't have any money because the redevelopment district is taking it off the top. It's gone.
Now, where do you spend it on? Hold on, where do you spend it on? You spend
Teachers.
it on, you spend it
Teachers.
on reading and
Curriculum.
math after school for those kids that are
Yeah,
not
or
performing.
summer school, or
And
whatever.
summer school.
Whatever.
And maybe you
Weekend, I don't care.
And maybe you think about going to a full-time year-round school system.
You pay the teachers. You get the curriculum in there. And the people that spoke up, We're very,
See,
very
what
good
Dave
and
is
very
looking
vocal.
at is outputs, not outcomes. You gotta start looking at outcomes. What will your money buy?
80 million, you could throw 100, you could throw $1 billion at it.
What
It's
is
not
it
going to
gonna buy?
matter.
What is it gonna buy? That's where you gotta set the goals.
It's not going to matter because we don't have the goals and the outcomes.
Right, I agree.
So why are we going to vote to throw more, good money after bad when A, we shouldn't have to spend $1 because it's going to redevelopment district, and B, I agree with the people. They don't have the outcomes. So what? And one of the PowerPoints that the school district has online, you can read, it says because they're losing students. Well, stop losing students.
Well, in this day and age, the way you do that is you gotta be at the upper bracket in something. It could be athletics, it could be academics, I prefer the academics, or you can be both.
And you talked about, we're not talking about rich kids and poor kids or what color their skin are. We've got students in the southern states of the United States who are doing very well.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter where they come from. They're getting taught. They're getting what they need. Not here because we're losing students to New Prairie, South Central, Westville. Why? Because the education must be something different. And what are you going to do? Oh, throw $10 million more at it a year. Maybe that'll change things. Why don't we throw $100 million more at it? What's the big deal?
well, the other thing I wanna mention is, I think the school board, or the administration, actually, the school board's gonna have to direct them, has got to start talking more to the unions about the trade situation. Electrical, plumbing, carpentry, what kind of math do you need in order to be able to do these jobs? How do we go about getting people qualified to get into these trades? To me, this is the coming area for people who don't have the desire to go to college. And I'm looking at some grandkids that do and some grandkids that don't. And I've got 2 boys that are within 1 year of each other, grandkids. One quit when he graduated high school. That's it. I want to go to work. I want the money. The other one is a pre-med, and he's going to spend the next 10 years in medical school or starting out for 4 years as a pre-med.
If he's lucky.
And then in medical school.
If he's lucky. That ain't easy.
Yeah, so anyway, there's a diversity among what people want to do. Our school system is going to have to provide for both.
Yeah, and
Academically, they're going to have to provide for
30
both.
some, 33 or 35 school districts for asking for money this year in a referendum vote.
Right.
We don't need to be one of them. We have the money. Folks, we have the money. Just stop. Let's put it back to the school, the police, and the fire. Do the police even have a contract anymore? I don't want to get off topic, but they were asking for $300,000 from rainy day fund to go to the police for flock cameras. Couldn't you take the number of police and give them a raise instead of $300,000 for flock camera? Really? I don't know why we don't know what to do with our money. And I was very proud at the number of people that they said that was a 4-hour something meeting. I was very proud of the people that came out that night and waited the whole time to talk. And they were very informed. And what I read out of that meeting, and I saw out of that meeting is, and I've said it here before, there's an election next year. Next May primary. Those people are sitting in office better be very careful.
And I understand.
There's going to be people running against you, and you voted for some things that people are very upset about.
And I understand that Tony has now volunteered to be Dave's campaign
I will
manager for
support
the school
Dave.
board.
The school board, I feel sorry for the school board because they get paid diddly squat. Anyone who's on the school board, kudos to you. That position pays hardly nothing, and what they are responsible for is immense, let alone the future of our students. We need to pay them more.
Well, the administration has to straighten that out. And they've got to start establishing goals. And they've got to understand.
One goal better, they
they've got
start
to meet
paying them
those goals.
more than whatever, $2,000 a year or something piddly they're getting paid. I've said this about any elected official. You were elected official and you were elected official. Your pay was not commensurate for what you did. That is done a periodic patriotic duty. And anyone who thinks that the elected officials aren't paid enough, I mean, what's the mayor make? $80,000 running a $50 million corporation? What do you think's going to happen? Not going to work.
Now, again, when I come to this table, I don't bring in opinions. I bring in facts. Okay? And my facts are based on me reading the state law and getting the interpretation of what state law complies with. Separate education TIF program of 15%. Your local school district is looking for ways to explicitly target TIF revenue from educational programming. Indiana code allows an entity separate mechanism under job training programs. Redevelopment commissions are permitted to allocate up to 15% of the total TIF revenue directly to local school corporations, specifically to fund job training, vocational initiatives, organizational retraining programs. That is state law.
And if I was doing this, I would go to the redevelopment commission and say, look, we need to get more plumbers. We need to get more carpenters.
I agree.
They can specifically target those funds for training in those areas.
But they won't get it.
But the redevelopment commission will not do it. When the school board approached for metal detectors, they kicked the can down the road 3 years.
They just asked for the money. They didn't ask for targeted money. Ask for targeted money for training in plumbing, training in electrical, training in carpentry.
They won't get it.
They won't get it. The redevelopment commission, the mayor,
You haven't asked for
the
it.
mayor,
You don't
the
know.
mayor of the city of Michigan City was a member of the redevelopment commission for I think 8 to 12 years before she became elected mayor of Michigan City. All of these facts she should know. She should know where to go. And I'm sorry. This is, the laws are on the books. They have to be implemented. You've got a roadblock.
Well, then file a court suit. Do something.
you've got a
Don't
physical-
just sit there and wave your arms.
You got a physical roadblock in the members of the redevelopment commission for not doing their job. They all should be fired.
They would have to vote themselves out of a job. They could pay off the bonds and defunct the redevelopment commission, and the money would go to the school, and we wouldn't have to pay an extra bond. But that's not going to happen.
No.
So what's going to happen? What if?
Good point. What's going
And
to
the
happen?
council has, I think the council's behind this bond, right? I think members were saying they are behind this bond. And if it does fail, the school district is threatening all kinds of bad stuff with cutting and this and that. If it fails, could we then see the light for the end of the tunnel that we need the redevelopment commission to disband, and that money should go to the police and the fire and the school? And we should have, because we have the money now, that they should be able to improve the students and of Michigan City. But we'll see. I don't think it'll happen. I don't know how the vote's going to go. Things are tight. What was the sanitary district's presentation that night? Said $10 extra a month next year and $10 an extra month the next year. In the sewer, in the water district, and NIPSCO. So we only have a few minutes, but quickly, there is an article that you are going to find out pretty closely.
Where's Andy?
He'll come and show us. But they're quickly, I talked to you about the coal-fired plants have to be kept running. Well, you're going to find out an article pretty quick.
Yeah.
NIPSCO is will charge customers through a tariff placed on the energy markets operated by MISO after a 60-day notice of Tuesday filing. They spend $116.5 million to comply with the
To keep the plants open, right.
So get ready. NIPSCO's got another charge that they're going to give you.
Yeah.
And then you got sewer, water, Michigan City schools. NIPSCO's going to raise their rates.
And anybody who's interested in the sanitary district rate increase, there's I received a public notice that the next sanitary district meeting will be Thursday, August the 13th. Regular meeting scheduled Wednesday, August the 19th. Please send the agenda request. Oh, that was for me. I'm just saying that individuals have a chance to speak their piece at the sanitary district board meetings, but whether they're going to listen to you or not, I don't think so, because I think Wendy Bichette and a few other individuals have their minds set up that we can continue to bleed the residents of Michigan City for as much money as we can get out of their meager savings. And
They're going to speak their mind.
They better.
Come May of 2027.
They better.
You're going to find out if there's people running against people in the primary, and we've seen this across the country. People have been losing primaries left and right. You're
Yep.
going to get primaried out. And I guess you've already made up your mind. You're going down that road, and I wish you luck.
Yep.
We'll see.
How much? What are we down to, Andy?
But you're just seeing that this is coming. NIPSCO. This was in the Indiana Business Journal. NIPSCO. The bad thing is NIPSCO is going to charge you to keep those coal-fired plants running because
It's a federal mandate.
federal mandate.
Yeah.
On the good side, the IURC, which just fired one of their members, did deny. They voted 3-0. It says, but in a scathing 3-0 denial Wednesday, that's last Wednesday, the IURC said that NIPSCO failed to provide sufficient evidence for the commission to determine that each proposed eligible improvement is cost justified. They wanted a $741 million 5-year plan for natural gas transmission, distribution, and storage infrastructure improvements and charges. That's $750 million. NIPSCO went to IURC to put on your back. IURC voted 3-0, no way, pound sand, go home. That's the first time I think I've ever seen the IURC say no.
And if you doubt anything that we are discussing here on the program, and if you're computer literate, even at a limited stage such as me, you can Google things and you could research things and you can read the truth. And again, this newsletter that I get from Governor Braun spells out a lot of stuff, but the only...
I just point to Fort Wayne and Gary.
But
Fort Wayne went way ahead of Gary because of what Fort Wayne
The
did.
standard of living-
Out with economic development, not redevelopment, economic development. You're going to have to put members on that board that know the kinds of companies we have to go after. They're not getting the job done. You keep
they're not.
When the
you keep going after the redevelopment commission. You ought to be going after economic development.
When the 1980s then city council created one of the first 7 enterprise zones in the state of 6 enterprise zones in the state of Indiana. 5 of those enterprise zones that were created in the state of Indiana are prospering. 1 isn't. And I wonder which one isn't. Okay? And it starts with Michigan City, Indiana. The concept of blighted areas have been addressed in other communities, and people saw the results. And status-wise in the state of Indiana, they're prospering. We're not prospering. There's something wrong here. And that's why I'm saying maybe the community has to take a new attitude.
Now,
I
Bob's
will
right.
give you another piece of advice. I did it for almost 40 years. It's called commute to the higher paid areas. I spent a lot of years commuting to Lake County because Lake County paid a lot more in the Purdue system than we did right here in LaPorte County. And I'll give you one more example because I commuted to get to it. I worked on.
Excuse me.
I worked on the census in 2020. When I applied for the job, they said, well, it's going to take probably about 2 months for us to get here back. It took 48 hours because my fingerprints were on file with the FBI. I had a top secret clearance when I was in the military. Now, they came back and offered me a job. They said you can have a supervisor's job in Lake County or you can have it in LaPorte County. I said, okay, what do they pay? $26.50 an hour in Lake County, $16.50 an hour in LaPorte County. We have not done the job in getting our average straight time hourly wages up. We need to bring in the kinds of companies that will do that. That's economic development. That's not redevelopment.
And that was the intent of the enterprise zone, was economic development. An area that had cessation of growth to take a new attitude. And 5 of those 6 communities in the state of Indiana have prospered.
Was one of them in Fort Wayne?
I believe so.
Well, there you go. That's northern Indiana. You said northern Indiana wasn't prospering. Heck, they aren't.
Well, I don't pick apart your speaking out of place occasionally, Bob. I try not to pick apart stuff. I tell it like it is.
Well, I am too. It's our little corner of northern
Something
Indiana.
is wrong.
It's not northern Indiana.
Something is wrong here then. Let's put it that way.
I think so. It's economic development. We've known that for years.
And it's the leaders that are in a position here in the city of Michigan City that have blinders on, that have plugs in their ears, and
that
they can't see. They cannot.
Where economic development is going and who it's going with. That's the problem.
That is
Like
correct.
they haven't been out there looking for the right people. Like you
No.
said before, they should go out there courting Lilly, or courting Elon Musk, or courting Volkswagen, BMW, Nissan. There's a new solar plant opening up in southern Indiana, Evansville, one of the first ones in America again. And I don't know why we didn't even, I don't understand why we didn't even probably even think to go ask them to come here.
Hey, on my way
Because
home.
we have water. Then you need water to make these
Well,
things.
yeah, and when we said, oh, we've got blue chip, no, we've got water, which is a hell of a lot more important
Well,
than
we
blue
can't seem
chip.
to capitalize on it.
No, we've got something more important than water. We've got a new car wash coming in down on 421 on Franklin, 421 on 20.
Oh, my
We've
God.
got two beautiful new car washes. That is economic development from the city of Michigan City. That's pathetic.
If you drive by that car wash with that thing you're driving, they'll have a sign up, free car wash, God dang, bring the car in.
It hasn't been washed in years, Bob. And maybe the dirt's hanging on the side and the wires
It's holding
and the
it
tape
together.
holding it together, but it still runs.
There's some question about whether it runs or whether it crawls.
Well, now you go out there and look what I'm driving today. I'm driving my wife's car.
I mean, everything coming up this next 6 months, these elected officials are sure bold. They're going to change. They're going to add a sewer fee, a water fee, a school fee before a May primary. Probably not the wisest thing to do, but here we go. And they're telling you how much you're going to pay. People aren't showing up at the meetings, right? That's why I was proud of the people that showed up at the council meeting, and they were heard, and they were tabled. They were heard that all this money we're spending. One individual I think was on point. Actually, two individuals really on point. One individual said, "Why isn't this budgeted? We keep coming back every month for more money. It should be in the budget. Why can't you put it in the budget? Wait till next year. Let's do the procedure we're supposed
That's
to."
what I was talking about.
You budget the money, and you find out where it's coming from, and you propose it for next year. You don't keep coming back to the council and asking for money. He says that's disorganization. You should know these things. They're not
And
surprising.
That's dysfunctional organization.
That's why I want to put it in the budgetary system for the school system, so therefore everybody pays it, not just Michigan City, Civil City. You've got to get it into the budgetary system in the school system. Then you won't have
And the other discussion was a past council member was very smart and asked why we're doing this by resolution. Shouldn't this be ordinance? And they didn't want to talk about it, but you could read through what they're talking about. And I don't know, this is, I think, a dysfunction in Michigan City, and I see this in many municipalities that don't do this. If there's money they would like to spend, and they're not on the agenda, and they don't have an ordinance yet, they go to the council, whatever council, county council, city council, whatever it is, and they ask for a motion of support. It doesn't have to be a resolution. They can bring it up anytime, ask for a motion of support for whatever funding they're looking for, and then they would go to the next stage of our ordinance. So the head of the council, Ms. Tillis, right, she did say that this is a resolution that says the council will support it. They tabled that. Then the next thing would have been an ordinance to actually appropriate the funds, because you can't do it by a resolution. I don't know why Michigan City has to pay, and I'm sure they paid somebody to make a resolution to support it. They could have just made the motion at any point. Somebody in the city council, not even on the agenda, could have said, we would like to, police could have said, hey, we'd like to take $300,000 out of the rainy day fund. We'd like a motion of support. It doesn't have, it's like a resolution, it doesn't mean anything. It's just a motion of support. It doesn't mean something until you get to the ordinance where you actually appropriate it by law. I don't understand why they're doing that, because we're paying money to generate a resolution to say we're going to come later and ask for an appropriation. I don't know where we got off of that. I tell you, LaPorte Council doesn't do that. You watch a LaPorte Council meeting, you'll see that say, hey, we didn't get on the agenda in time. We're going to ask for $20,000 out of this fund. Would you support this? And the council says, oh, is there a motion for support? They make a motion for support. That's it. They come back the next month with the resolution. They're on the agenda, and then they vote for it up or down. But they know prior to that they're probably going to support it. Why did we make this big hullabaloo about a resolution, and we just had to have a motion of support, and then they could have voted on the next ordinance later, which I guess takes 3 readings, right?
Yeah.
And they could appropriate this money. So there's something weird going on. Why a resolution, then an ordinance? Just support it or not? And you don't really need a motion for support.
I believe it's under Robert's Rules of Order. A motion is the sense of the city council. The consensus of opinion of the city council is the results of a resolution.
That somehow in Michigan City we make a mountain out of a molehill and we have to have a resolution. They could just made the motion of support. They didn't need a resolution. Somebody could have said, any council member could have said, I want a motion to support $300,000 out of the rainy day fund for the police flock cameras. They could have done that. They didn't make, but I'm glad the people came out. They made some good points. A, it should have been a budgetary issue. B, let's just go right to ordinance and vote on it. I don't know where it stands now. Maybe you guys know. It was a motion to table indefinitely for a resolution. Does that really affect the ordinance? They could bring an ordinance forward.
Normally, when it's tabled indefinitely, that means
That's
it's
for the
dead.
that's for the resolution.
But that means it's
Not for the ordinance.
No, the
They could bring
resolution is dead.
But they could bring an ordinance forward and 3 readings. Just because a resolution is tabled doesn't mean an ordinance can't come forward.
There was
You only got 2 minutes.
Yeah, there was all right, we'll close with this. The location of the Phoenix property, where Google is being located, adjacent, just a little bit east of the Phoenix property. What middle school is located?
West.
West.
Adjacent and west. Krieger.
No, it's east. It's east of
Well, no,
where
it's
Phoenix
west.
is. If you're going east,
Krieger's west of Phoenix. Phoenix east of Krieger.
west is that way.
Okay. But next door is Krieger.
Yeah,
So why-
within a stone's throw distance of this. Now, didn't somebody talk about the vibration or the sounds or the
Noise.
humming or everything else
No.
out of the this new AI concept? But what's across what's beyond
We
the
can
golf
talk
course?
about this at another meeting because it's going to take a while. Your situation is so different from Port there that it's unbelievable.
Well, shouldn't we improve
But
our-
what happened was
Not Krieger?
the data center in Michigan City,
1 minute.
they got into land that was zoned industrial.
Oh yeah, it was ready. Yeah, it was
They
ready.
was the correct zoning.
Yep.
They needed to warn the other people around there that this land is zoned industrial. They didn't do it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hope our conversation made somebody open up their eyes to see what's going on. And again, contact your city councilman or contact somebody of some influence within this community and take your opinions to them, and maybe something might materialize. But the end result is, if you don't speak up and if you don't recognize what's coming down the road, it's going to affect your pocketbook, and there are some individuals in this community that might not be able to afford it. I want to thank everybody for watching. Your input as to improvements and criticism of this program is greatly appreciated. Please contact Show's Try co-producers Bob Pollock, Dave Vila, or Tony Hendricks with your comments. You can email Bob at skrpollock@gmail.com, Dave at djbila1@hotmail.com, or Tony at emailagm@yahoo.com, or you may direct your ideas for any future shows to our one and only staff writer, Sarah Bellum, who really doesn't know anything. She's as dumb as a box of rocks. The showing of our program will be Saturday morning at 10 a.m. and also Monday and Thursday evening at 7 p.m. on Channel 99. You may also enjoy watching our program on 99 Navigate News and Views. Are you updated, Tony?
Update. Yep.
You are updated. I want to thank everybody for watching, and make it a good day.